The Orbital Guard's Origin Story, Episode 20, Relativity. The size of the modules was like a splinter in my mind. The translucence of the Shinkansen interior had faded. The personalized briefing had ended, and it was time to disembark. Without any sense of motion, the only way to tell was the reappearance of the yellow directional arrows returning to my field of vision. People behind and in front of me had already left. But like missing the gorilla in a cognitive science experiment, I was too absorbed in my own thoughts to notice. The UTC and LTC readings had also disappeared, and it dawned on me that the humans and robots working in the bay probably had a similar display available to them. These images were more than a retinal projection. They were a part of reality, with zero latency, a quantum neural interface. The tech bent photons at a molecular level, weaving light into layered constructs. The workers inside the bay probably had engineering diagrams, schematics, and technical readouts floating seamlessly within their field of vision, each equipped with a unique just-in-time tool belt filled with exactly what they would need to perform. I thought to myself, this would allow for complete concentration. There would be no wasted energy or movements. Gone was the hurry up and wait for supplies, personnel, or decisions to be made. The efficiency was clearly off the charts. This technology would allow for impressive real-time collaborations, while simultaneously adding integrity to the task and applying a protective need to know. Put another way, this technology didn't just enable collaboration, it enforced it. When the yellow directional arrows indicated movement, I rose to my feet with a slight upward push from the seat itself. A pleasant surprise, but at this point not totally unexpected. My egress point was less than 20 meters away, and as the carriage door opened, a familiar purple rectangle was evident on the floor. What had seemed otherworldly just a short time ago had become very matter of fact, and dare I say, quite ordinary. As my feet left the rectangle, my vision returned to base normal. Technology often hides in plain sight, just as electricity does in our homes and neighborhoods. When you toggle a light switch in your living room, rarely, if at all, do you think of the physical steps or the roughly 10,000 people who design, build, or maintain the vast system which enables your simple action to produce a result. We take this all for granted, and we do this every day. Just off of the platform, another group of frogs was waiting, and a familiar doorway and biometric sensor appeared on the wall in front of us. Once again, it was time for our magic carpet ride within the paint shop. This time, our numbers had dwindled to about half the size of the initial group, but everything else about this experience was virtually identical. The same colors were present, the same hand gestures were used, and that brief tinge of vertigo struck me once again, albeit not as severe this time. The next briefing I was about to have was decades in the making. Our group was on its way to its first origin look, a fundamental glimpse into a hypersonic ejection system. But initially, for a mothership that could be anywhere on Earth in less than 2.5 hours. When the door frame appeared and went through its color transitions, our group had already begun to shuffle about and form a single file line. The frog at the doorway selected some appropriate body language in recognition of our preemptive initiatives. The environment we entered next was my first look at something genuinely different at Cove. It wasn't a knowledge tree. It wasn't a hold or a training room. This room felt more like a Division I athletic film room. It was very utilitarian in nature, with plush movie theater seating and a giant curved screen at the front. The room itself was quite bland. It was a gunmetal gray color with just enough seats available for us. As we settled into our non-assigned seating, a turtle named Thea made her way to the front of the room and said, "What you are about to see is the evolution of the sphere design and its construction. You're going to see a series of photos. Just relax and try not to blink." That last part definitely got my attention. I knew what she meant, as I'm sure most of us did. We all sat in silence as the lights dimmed and the first crude image of the mechanism appeared. There are limits to the subconscious mind. The human brain cannot absorb unlimited information. Sensory inputs are filtered, and only a fraction is passed into working and long-term memory. Raw sensory data is mostly discarded within fractions of a second unless attention or emotional significance gives it a priority. When it comes to rapid image exposure, I remembered reading once that the brain can catch the gist of a picture in just 13 milliseconds. That's quicker than a blink, and even quicker than a thought. At that speed, you don't see details, only the shape of things, the motion of them. That was exactly what Thea was asking of us. Most people will naturally blink without thinking, 15, maybe 20 times in a minute. If you try holding your eyes open, you'll make it maybe 10, maybe 20 minutes before the burn starts to take over. With training, you can stretch that into several minutes more. Sitting there, waiting for the flood of images, I wondered which one of us had already began meditating in preparation. It was clear many had already begun unique breathing exercises for this evolution. This was not a new technique at all. Many of us had experienced this psychological effect in classified briefings. What followed were thousands of images documenting over 80 years of evolution with various speeds. At times, the images would slow down to emphasize major changes, breakthroughs, or design shifts, and then it would speed up to represent minor refinements. The purpose of this briefing was not to memorize technical details or specs. This was prepared to embed a subconscious familiarity, letting the vessel carve itself into us, far deeper than memory itself. As Thea remarked after the presentation, you will not recall every single change you've seen. You don't need to. What matters now is it's already inside of you. When you meet these vessels on your hop, there will already be a familiar feeling, an instant recognition, as if you intuitively know it. It will already feel like something you're completely comfortable with. At that point, none of us exchanged any words. A subtle glance to each other spoke volumes. The bond had been sealed. Now each of us carried not just knowledge, but a profound internal imprint, a lasting awareness locked into us far deeper than traditional memory. The hypersonic ejection system was now firmly woven into the tapestry of our being.